Captain Jake Morrison stood at the big window of the space station. He looked down at Earth and felt his heart sink. Giant black ships filled the sky above his home planet. They were so big that they blocked out the sun in many places. The ships looked like dark clouds, but they were made of metal and moved with purpose. Jake had been in space for 3 months. He was supposed to come home next week. Now he wondered if there would be a home to return to. The alien ships had appeared without any warning. One moment the sky was clear and blue. The next moment it was full of massive spacecraft that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. His radio crackled to life. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Lisa Carter from Earth Defense Command. Can you hear me?" Jake grabbed the radio quickly. "Yes, Admiral. I can hear you loud and clear." "Good. We need you to stay calm and listen carefully. These aliens have sent us a message. They want us to surrender completely within 3 days. If we don't, they say they will destroy everything." Jake felt cold fear run through his body. He had trained for many dangerous situations, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. "What do we know about them, Admiral?" "Not much. They call themselves the Zephyrian Empire. Their ships are at least 10 times bigger than our largest vessels. We tried to scan them, but their technology is far beyond ours. We can't even get a good reading on their weapons." Jake watched as smaller alien ships moved between the giant ones like busy insects. They seemed to be organizing themselves for something. "Admiral, what are our orders?" "For now, observe and report. We need to know everything we can about these aliens. Dr. Emma Walsh is working on analyzing the little data we have. She's smart, but she needs more information." Jake knew Dr. Walsh from his training days. She was one of the best scientists on Earth. If anyone could figure out the aliens, it would be her. But 3 days seemed like such a short time. "Admiral, what about the people on Earth? Are they evacuating?" Lisa Carter's voice sounded tired. "Major Kyle Brooks is coordinating evacuations in the big cities. But honestly, Jake, where can people go? These ships are everywhere. They're over every major city, every military base, every important location." Jake looked down at Earth again. He could see the alien ships hovering over New York, London, Tokyo, and other cities. The ships cast huge shadows on the ground below. It must be like living under a constant eclipse. "The aliens sent another message an hour ago," Admiral Carter continued. "They said humans are primitive creatures who don't deserve this planet. They think we're like animals who have messed up a perfectly good world." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. "What gives them the right to judge us?" "That's exactly what we're all thinking. But Jake, their technology is incredible. Our best weapons might not even scratch their ships. We need to be smart about this." On Earth's surface, Major Kyle Brooks was having the worst day of his life. He stood in Times Square, which was usually full of people and noise. Now it was almost empty. The giant alien ship above cast everything in shadow. The few people still on the street looked up at the sky with fear in their eyes. His radio buzzed. "Major Brooks, this is Evacuation Center 7. We're at full capacity, but more people keep coming. What should we do?" Kyle rubbed his forehead. "Set up temporary shelters in the parks. Use any building that's available. We need to get people away from the major targets. But Kyle knew the truth. If the aliens wanted to destroy humanity, there was nowhere to hide. Their ships could probably turn entire cities into dust. The evacuation was more about keeping people busy and giving them hope than actually saving them. In her laboratory, Dr. Emma Walsh stared at her computer screen. She had been working for 18 hours straight, trying to understand the alien message. The language was unlike anything she had ever seen. It seemed to use mathematical concepts instead of words. "Computer, run analysis pattern 47, she said out loud. The computer beeped. Analysis complete. Pattern suggests hierarchical communication structure. Aliens appear to use rank-based language systems. Emma leaned back in her chair. That was interesting. It suggested the aliens had a strict social order, like an army or an empire. That might be important later. Her assistant, Dr. Ben Collins, brought her coffee. Any luck? Some. I think their society is very organized, very rigid. They probably have rules for everything. That might be a weakness we can use. Ben looked confused. How is being organized a weakness? Because people who follow rules all the time have trouble when the rules don't work anymore. They don't know how to adapt. Meanwhile, in her command bunker, General Alex Turner was looking at military reports from around the world. Every major military base was reporting the same thing. The alien ships were just sitting there, watching. They weren't attacking yet, but they were clearly studying human defenses. "General," called Lieutenant Eric Johnson from his computer station. "I'm seeing something strange in the alien ship patterns." "What do you mean?" "They're not moving randomly. Look at this." Eric brought up a map on the big screen. "The ships are positioned over strategic resources. Oil fields, mining operations, fresh water sources. It's like they're making a list of everything valuable on the planet." General Turner felt a chill. "They're not here to destroy us quickly. They're here to take everything we have." The truth was becoming clear. The Zephyrian Empire didn't see humans as enemies to fight. They saw them as pests to remove from a planet they wanted to claim. To them, humans were just inconvenient animals living on valuable real estate. In space, Captain Jake Morrison continued his watch. He had counted over 200 alien ships just in Earth's orbit. There were probably more that he couldn't see. Each ship looked like it could carry thousands of aliens. "Captain Morrison," Admiral Carter's voice came through the radio again. "We're calling an emergency meeting of all world leaders. The aliens want to send a representative to talk." That's good news, right? If they want to talk, maybe we can work something out. Admiral Carter was quiet for a moment. "I hope so, Jake. But something tells me this conversation isn't going to go the way we want." As Jake watched, one of the smaller alien ships began moving toward Earth. It was sleek and silver, and it moved without making any sound he could detect. The ship was heading toward New York, where the United Nations building waited. The first meeting between humans and aliens was about to begin. Jake could only hope that somehow, some way, humanity would find a path through this crisis. But looking at the massive alien fleet surrounding Earth, hope seemed like a very small thing. The alien ship landed in Central Park with no sound at all. It was smooth and silver, about the size of a small building. People gathered behind police barriers to watch, but most stayed far away. The ship's surface looked like liquid metal that never moved. Dr. Ben Collins stood with the otherworld leaders outside the United Nations building. He had been chosen to represent Earth's scientific community. His hands shook as he held his tablet full of notes. Everything he had written seemed stupid now. How do you talk to beings from another world? The ship's door opened without any visible mechanism. It simply became an opening, as if the metal had decided to move aside. 3 figures stepped out, and Ben felt his breath catch in his throat. The aliens were tall, at least 8 feet high. They wore suits that looked like armor made from mirrors. The suits reflected everything around them, making it hard to look directly at them. Ben could not see their faces or bodies. They moved with perfect coordination, like dancers who had practiced the same routine for years. General Alex Turner watched from his position near the UN building. He had soldiers stationed around the area, but he knew they were just for show. If these aliens wanted to hurt anyone, human weapons probably could not stop them. The lead alien approached the group of world leaders. When it spoke, its voice came from a small device attached to its suit. The voice was flat and emotionless, like a computer reading a grocery list. I am Ambassador Zethkar of the Zephyrian Empire. You will listen to our terms. Dr. Collins stepped forward. He had been chosen as the main speaker. Welcome to Earth. We are honored to meet you. We hope we can find a peaceful solution that works for everyone. The alien turned its reflective helmet toward Ben. For a moment, Ben thought he could see something moving behind the mirror surface, but he could not be sure. Peaceful solution? The alien's translated voice carried what might have been amusement. You misunderstand your situation, primitive creature. Ben felt his face grow hot. We may not have your technology, but we are not primitive. Humans have achieved many great things. Great things? Ambassador Zethkar made a sound that the translator could not convert. It might have been laughter, but it sounded like metal scraping against stone. You live in structures made from dead trees and stone. You burn fossil fuels that poison your own air. You fight wars over imaginary lines drawn on maps. General Turner stepped closer. We have made mistakes, but we are learning and growing as a species. The alien turned to face him. General Alex Turner, commander of military forces that could not stop a single one of our scout ships. Your weapons are toys. Your strategies are the thinking of children playing war games. Turner felt his jaw clench. He had spent 30 years in the military, fighting in conflicts around the world. To have his experience dismissed so casually made his blood boil. You know our names, Ben observed. You have been studying us. We study all species before we claim their worlds, Zethkar replied. We must understand what pests we are removing. Humans are particularly amusing. You think you are intelligent because you can make simple tools and organize into groups. Even insects can do these things. Commander Rachel Stone was part of the security detail. She stood 20 feet away, watching everything. She had studied the aliens' movements since they arrived. They walked with confidence, never looking around nervously or checking for threats. They acted like humans were completely harmless. "What do you want from us?" asked President Nancy Foster, who had just arrived by helicopter. "Want from you?" The alien's helmet tilted. "We want nothing from you. We want your planet. You are simply in the way." "Earth is our home," Ben said. "We have lived here for thousands of years. Bacteria live in places for thousands of years, too. That does not give them ownership. You have wasted this world's resources and filled it with your noise and pollution. We will clean it up after you are gone." The words hit the assembled leaders like physical blows. Ben had expected the aliens to be different, maybe even difficult to understand, but he had not expected such complete contempt. "Surely we can reach some kind of agreement." Ben tried again. "Humans are intelligent. We can learn. We can contribute something to the galaxy." The alien made that scraping sound again. Contribute? What could soft-skinned vermin possibly contribute to civilized beings? You barely understand the basic principles of space travel. Your mathematics are elementary. Your sciences are laughably simple. Dr. Collins felt his face burning with embarrassment and anger. He had spent his entire life studying physics and astronomy. He had made discoveries that other humans considered brilliant. To have it all dismissed as laughably simple was almost too much to bear. "We have art, music, literature," he said desperately. "We have culture and creativity." "Noise and scribbles," Zethkar replied. "Every species thinks their random sounds and marks are special. It is always the same. You are not unique, human. You are not interesting. You are just another primitive species that happened to evolve on a useful planet." General Turner could not stay quiet anymore. "If we are so primitive, why do you need 3 days to defeat us? Why not just attack immediately?" The alien turned its reflective helmet toward him. "An excellent question, General. We take 3 days because we are civilized. We follow proper procedures when claiming worlds. We offer surrender first, even to animals. It is more efficient than hunting down survivors after our weapons turn your cities to ash." The casual way the alien talked about destroying cities made everyone present feel cold. This was not a threat or a bluff. It was a simple statement of fact, like mentioning the weather. "How many worlds have you claimed?" Ben asked quietly. 47 in this sector of the galaxy. Some species were clever enough to surrender immediately. Others thought they could fight. The result was always the same. The galaxy is large, and there are many suitable planets, but none of their previous inhabitants were worth preserving. Commander Stone felt sick to her stomach. 47 worlds meant billions or trillions of lives, and this alien spoke about it like it was routine business. "What happens to us if we surrender?" President Foster asked. "You will be relocated to a planet more suitable for primitive species. It has no valuable resources, but it will support your basic life needs. You will live there until your species naturally dies out. And if we refuse to surrender, then we will demonstrate why 47 other species chose surrender after seeing our capabilities. Your military installations will be destroyed first, then your major cities. Then we will hunt down survivors in smaller settlements. The process typically takes 6 to 8 months, depending on how well you hide." The alien paused, its helmet, turning to scan the assembled humans. "But you seem intelligent enough to recognize a hopeless situation. Surely you will not choose the path of pointless resistance." Ben looked around at the other leaders. He saw fear in their eyes, but also something else. Anger. The aliens' complete dismissal of humanity was having an unexpected effect. Instead of making people want to surrender, it was making them want to fight. "We need time to consider your offer," Ben said carefully. "You have 65 hours remaining," Zethkar replied. "Use them wisely. Study our ships if you wish. Examine our technology from a distance. You will quickly understand that resistance is impossible." The alien turned to walk back toward its ship. Then it stopped and looked back. "Oh, and do not attempt to damage our ship or harm any of our personnel. Such actions would end the negotiation period immediately. We would proceed directly to demonstration of consequences." As the aliens walked back to their ship, Ben felt something he had not expected. Yes, he was afraid. The aliens clearly had the power to destroy humanity, but he was also angry. The casual contempt, the dismissal of everything humans had achieved, the way they talked about other species like they were insects to be stepped on. General Turner walked up beside him. "Doctor, I have been in a lot of difficult situations, but I have never wanted to punch someone as much as I want to punch that alien." Ben nodded. "I know what you mean. They think we are nothing. Maybe it is time to show them they are wrong." As the alien ship lifted off silently and disappeared into the sky, the human leaders looked at each other with new determination. The aliens had made a mistake. They had shown their contempt so clearly that surrender was starting to seem worse than fighting. At least in a fight, humans could die with dignity. Intelligence Officer Maya Rodriguez sat in her underground command center, surrounded by computer screens showing reports from around the world. For the past 2 days, she had been tracking the alien activities on Earth. What she saw made her both worried and angry. The Zephyrians were conducting what they called an assessment of human civilization. But Maya could see it was really just a detailed inventory of everything valuable on the planet. They moved through cities and towns like they owned the place, completely ignoring the humans who tried to approach them. "Rodriguez, what is the latest from Tokyo?" asked her supervisor, Colonel Dana Hayes. Maya pulled up the report on her main screen. "The aliens spent 6 hours scanning the electronics district. They seem very interested in our computer technology, but not in a good way. They are cataloging everything like they are making a shopping list." In Tokyo, Dr. Neil Parker had tried to establish contact with the alien scanning team. He was one of Earth's best linguists and had learned 17 human languages. He thought maybe he could find a way to communicate with the aliens beyond their basic translation device. Dr. Parker approached the aliens carefully, holding up his hands to show he was peaceful. He had prepared a presentation showing human achievements in mathematics, science, and art. He thought if he could just make them understand how much humans had accomplished, they might reconsider their position. The aliens noticed him approaching. Dr. Parker began his presentation, speaking slowly and clearly. He showed them equations that described the universe, artwork that captured human emotions, and music that moved the human soul. The aliens looked at his presentation for exactly 30 seconds. Then they simply walked around him and continued their scanning. It was like he was a tree or a rock in their path. They did not acknowledge him as a thinking being worthy of response. Dr. Parker tried following them, continuing his presentation. The aliens activated some kind of device that created an invisible barrier around them. When Dr. Parker tried to get closer, he simply could not move forward. It was like walking into an invisible wall. Captain Sam Williams was leading a reconnaissance team in Berlin. His job was to observe the aliens and report their activities. What he saw disturbed him deeply. The aliens had set up a large scanning device in the center of the city. People gathered around it at a safe distance, trying to understand what it was doing. The device made no sound, but it projected beams of colored light in all directions. "Williams to base," Sam spoke into his radio. "The aliens are definitely mapping something. The device has been scanning for 4 hours. It seems to be looking at everything underground, too." What bothered Sam the most was how the aliens treated the human civilians. When people got too close, the aliens would activate devices that moved the crowds away, but they did it the same way farmers might move cattle. There was no communication, no attempt to explain. Humans were just obstacles to be moved aside. A group of children had approached the aliens, curious and unafraid in the way only children can be. Sam watched as the aliens looked down at them for a moment. Then they simply continued their work, paying no more attention to the children than they would to pigeons or stray dogs. In London, Lieutenant Eric Johnson was analyzing the alien technology from his mobile command unit. His team had managed to get close-range scans of the alien equipment. What they found was both amazing and terrifying. "The power readings are off the charts," Eric reported to his commander. "Their smallest handheld devices put out more energy than our biggest power plants, and their materials are unlike anything we have ever seen." Eric's sensors showed that the alien equipment was made from substances that seemed to change their properties as needed. Metal that could become flexible or rigid, surfaces that could conduct electricity or insulate against it, all controlled by some kind of internal programming. "Sir, I think their entire civilization is based on programmable matter. They can make anything they need just by thinking about it." But Eric noticed something else. The aliens were very methodical in everything they did. They followed exact patterns, checked everything twice, and moved in precise formations. It was like watching a very advanced computer program running the same routine over and over. Colonel Dana Hayes was coordinating the global observation effort from her command bunker in Colorado. She had reports coming in from every continent, and the pattern was becoming clear. "The aliens are not preparing for war," she told her staff. "They are preparing for resource extraction. Look at these locations." Dana brought up a world map on the main screen. Red dots showed where aliens had been most active. The dots clustered around oil fields, mining operations, fresh water sources, and areas with rare minerals. They are not scanning our military bases or studying our weapons. They are figuring out how to strip mine the entire planet efficiently. Major Luke Thompson, who had been observing alien activities in the Middle East, raised his hand. "Colonel, what about the human populations in these areas? Are they planning to relocate us first?" Dana's expression was grim. I don't think they care about relocating us, Luke. I think they plan to work around us, the same way we work around anthills when we build roads. The most disturbing report came from Dr. Chris Bell, who had been studying alien movements near major cities. Chris was a brilliant physicist who had spent years thinking about how advanced aliens might behave. I have been tracking their scanning. Patterns, Chris reported during the daily briefing. They are not just cataloging resources. They are calculating the most efficient way to extract everything valuable while expending the minimum amount of effort. Chris pulled up his analysis on the screen. Based on their movement patterns, I believe they have done this many times before. They have a standard procedure for claiming planets. They probably have detailed plans for dealing with every type of resistance they might encounter. What does that mean for us? Asked Colonel Hayes. It means they are not taking us seriously as a threat. They are treating Earth like a routine job. They expect us to either surrender quietly or put up a brief, ineffective fight before being wiped out. In his laboratory on the orbital station, Captain Jake Morrison had been analyzing alien ship movements from space. He had a unique perspective, being able to see the bigger picture of their deployment around Earth. The alien fleet is positioned for total planetary control, he reported to Admiral Carter. But Jake, there is something interesting about their formation. What do you mean? They are using a standard military pattern, but it is designed for controlling a planet that cannot fight back in space. All of their ships are focused downward toward Earth. They have almost no defenses against attacks from other directions. Admiral Carter was quiet for a moment. Are you saying they have a blind spot? I am saying they are not expecting any real resistance. Their formation is perfect for controlling a primitive planet, but terrible for fighting a space battle. As the reports came in from around the world, a clearer picture of the Zephyrian Empire began to emerge. They were incredibly advanced, but they were also incredibly arrogant. They had conquered so many worlds that they had developed standard procedures for everything. Maya Rodriguez compiled all the intelligence into a final report. The aliens follow protocols, she wrote. They do everything by the book. They have rules for scanning, rules for resource assessment, rules for dealing with local populations. They are like a very advanced military that has never faced an enemy, clever enough to break their rules. Communications specialist Kate Adams had been monitoring alien transmissions. Most of their communications were encrypted beyond human understanding, but occasionally she caught fragments of their conversations. They are reporting back to their empire, Kate told Colonel Hayes. From what I can understand, they are describing Earth as a standard Type 7 world with typical primitive resistance potential. We are just another entry in their database. The most important discovery came from Marine Captain Jack Davis, who had been studying alien behavior in urban areas. Jack was an expert in psychological warfare, and he noticed something crucial about how the aliens interacted with humans. They have no backup plans, Jack reported. When something unexpected happens, they pause and consult their devices. They are not used to improvising or adapting quickly. They rely completely on their technology and their pre-planned procedures. Capcut had tested this theory carefully. When humans did something the aliens were not expecting, like forming a parade or starting a street festival near their operations, The aliens would stop work and spend time analyzing the situation. They seemed unable to just ignore unexpected human behavior and continue with their tasks. This could be important, Jack told his team. If we can do things they have not planned for, we might be able to disrupt their operations. As the 48-hour mark approached, the human leaders had learned crucial information about their enemy. The Zephyrians were powerful beyond imagination, but they were also predictable. They followed rules and procedures that had worked on 47 other worlds. But Earth was about to become world number 48, and the humans were planning to break every rule the aliens thought they knew about planetary conquest. Deep beneath Washington, D.C., in tunnels that most people did not know existed, Colonel Ryan Mitchell was holding the most important meeting in human history. Representatives from every major military force on Earth had gathered in secret. The official surrender deadline was only 12 hours away, but nobody in this room was planning to surrender. The meeting room was carved out of solid rock, lined with metal that blocked electronic signals. Maps covered every wall, showing alien positions around the globe. Computer screens displayed technical data about alien technology. The air was thick with tension and determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," Colonel Mitchell began, "our governments may be preparing to surrender, but we are not. We represent the last hope for human freedom, and we will not go down without a fight." Sergeant Amy Powell stood up from her chair near the back of the room. She had just returned from a dangerous reconnaissance mission in New York City. Her clothes were dirty and torn, but her eyes burned with fierce determination. "I spent 3 days getting close to alien positions," Amy reported. "I learned things that might help us fight back." Amy walked to the main display screen and pulled up photographs she had taken with a hidden camera. The images showed alien soldiers up close, their equipment and their behavior patterns. The aliens are good at big-picture strategy, but they are terrible at small details. They post guards, but the guards only watch for major threats. They do not pay attention to individuals who move carefully and quietly. Amy clicked to the next image, which showed alien equipment left unguarded. While the soldiers conducted their scans, they are so confident that humans cannot hurt them that they do not bother protecting their equipment. I got within 10 feet of their scanning devices multiple times. If we had the right weapons, we could damage or destroy their gear. Dr. Chris Bell, the quantum physicist from MIT, was sitting at a table covered with alien technology fragments. His team had managed to recover pieces of alien equipment from various locations. The pieces were small, but they contained valuable information. "I have been studying these fragments for 2 days," Dr. Bell announced. "The alien technology is incredibly advanced, but it all operates on the same basic principles we use. They just do it much better." Chris held up a small piece of what looked like liquid metal. "This is from their ship's hull. It is programmable matter that can change its properties instantly, but the programming uses quantum frequencies that we can detect and potentially disrupt." He moved to another table where larger pieces of alien equipment were displayed. Their weapons, their shields, their communication systems all depend on quantum field manipulation. If we can create the right kind of electromagnetic interference, we might be able to disrupt their technology. Marine Captain Jack Davis had been studying alien behavior patterns from multiple cities. He had compiled a detailed report on alien tactics and weaknesses. The aliens follow standard operating procedures for everything, Jack explained. They have obviously done this many times before, but that predictability is also a weakness. If we can force them to deal with situations they have not encountered before, they will have to improvise, and they are not good at improvising. Jack brought up a tactical map showing alien positions around major cities. Look at their defensive patterns. They are designed to handle conventional military attacks, but they are not prepared for guerrilla warfare, urban combat, or asymmetric tactics. Communications specialist Kate Adams had made an important discovery about alien communications. She had been monitoring their transmissions and found something unexpected. Their communication network is incredibly sophisticated, Kate reported, but it depends on quantum entanglement between their ships. If we can disrupt the entanglement field, their ships will lose contact with each other. Kate showed the group her technical analysis. I have identified the specific frequency their quantum communicators use. If we can generate a strong enough electromagnetic pulse at exactly the right frequency, we can blind their entire fleet temporarily. The room erupted in excited discussion. For the first time since the aliens arrived, humans had found potential, weaknesses to exploit. But turning these discoveries into effective weapons would require incredible coordination and timing. Fighter pilot Captain Steve Logan had been studying alien ship movements from the air. His squadron had been secretly modified with experimental equipment designed by Dr. Sarah Clark's emergency research team. My planes can carry electromagnetic pulse weapons, Steve reported. They are not very powerful, but if we target the right systems at the right time, we might be able to cause significant damage. Steve pulled up flight plans showing attack routes that would avoid alien sensors. The aliens are not expecting air attacks from primitive human aircraft. Their defenses are focused on advanced threats. We might be able to get close enough to their ships to deploy our weapons. Dr. Sarah Clark herself was present at the meeting. She had been working around the clock with teams of scientists to develop weapons that could hurt the aliens. We cannot match their technology, Dr. Clark explained, but we can exploit their overconfidence. We have developed several weapons that use principles the aliens might not expect. Sarah showed the group prototypes of various devices: electromagnetic pulse grenades, quantum frequency disruptors, and kinetic penetrators designed to pierce their hull material. None of these are as advanced as alien weapons, but they are specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses we have discovered. Lieutenant Anna Scott represented the Cyber Warfare Division. She had been studying alien computer systems and found something important. The aliens use quantum computers that are incredibly powerful, Anna reported, but their security systems are designed to prevent other quantum computers from hacking them. They are not designed to stop primitive digital attacks. Anna explained her plan. If we can get close enough to their systems, we can insert simple computer viruses that their sophisticated defenses will not recognize as threats. We can cause chaos in their networks without them understanding how. Major Luke Thompson had been coordinating with resistance cells around the world. Underground organizations, military units, and civilian groups were all preparing for the fight of their lives. We have people ready in every major city, Luke reported. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, and ordinary citizens who refuse to surrender. They are waiting for orders to strike back. Luke showed maps indicating resistance cells in dozens of D countries. The aliens think humans are disorganized and primitive. They are about to learn that humans are very good at working together when we face a common enemy. As the meeting continued, a plan began to take shape. It was desperate and dangerous, but it was also clever and unexpected. The humans would not try to fight the aliens using conventional tactics. Instead, they would use humanity's greatest strengths: adaptability, creativity, and the willingness to take risks. The first strike must be coordinated perfectly, Colonel Mitchell explained. We need to hit their communication systems first, then target their command ships, then launch ground attacks on their resource extraction operations. Captain Steve Logan raised his hand. What about civilian casualties? If we fight in cities, innocent people will get hurt. The room fell silent. This was the hardest part of the plan. Fighting the aliens would put civilian lives at risk. But surrendering would mean the end of human civilization. Colonel Mitchell's voice was heavy with emotion. We have contacted resistance cells in every major city. Civilians are being moved to safe areas whenever possible. But we cannot protect everyone. The choice is between risking some lives now or accepting the certain death of our entire species. Dr. Bell had been working on the technical aspects of the plan. We need to strike at exactly the right moment. The aliens conduct a system-wide communication check every 6 hours. If we attack during the check, we can maximize the disruption to their network. Communication specialist Kate Adams confirmed the timing. The next system check begins in 14 hours, just 2 hours after the surrender deadline passes. That gives us time to get our forces into position. Sergeant Amy Powell volunteered for the most dangerous part of the mission. I can get close enough to plant the electromagnetic pulse devices on their communication arrays. It will be risky, but I know their patrol patterns. As the meeting wound down, each person received specific orders and equipment. Some would pilot aircraft loaded with experimental weapons. Others would lead ground attacks on alien positions. Still others would coordinate cyber attacks and communication disruption. Remember, Colonel Mitchell told the group, the aliens think we are primitive animals who will either surrender quietly or fight stupidly. We are going to prove them wrong on both counts. Captain Jack Davis stood up to address the room one final time. The aliens have conquered 47 worlds. They think they know everything about primitive species, but they have never faced humans before. We are about to teach them something new. As the meeting ended, the representatives dispersed to return to their commands around the world. Each carried with them the knowledge that they were about to attempt something that had never been done before. A primitive species was going to fight back against an advanced galactic empire. The surrender deadline passed at midnight. Greenwich Mean Time. Around the world, humans held their breath and waited. The Zephyrian Empire had expected either immediate surrender or panicked chaos. Instead, they got silence. At exactly 3 in the morning, humanity struck back. Fighter pilot Captain Steve Logan was flying at low altitude over the Atlantic Ocean, leading a squadron of 12 modified jets toward the alien fleet. His aircraft had been stripped of unnecessary equipment and loaded with electromagnetic pulse weapons that Dr. Sarah Clark's team had built in just 2 days. "Squadron leader to all aircraft," Steve spoke into his radio. "Target the communication. Arrays on the command ships. Remember, we only get one chance at this. Make it count." Steve's hands were steady on the controls, but his heart was racing. His plane was flying toward alien ships that could destroy entire cities. The electromagnetic pulse weapons were untested and might not work at all. But doing nothing meant the end of human civilization. In New York City, Sergeant Amy Powell was crawling through a steam tunnel beneath the streets. She had been moving for 3 hours, carrying a backpack full of electromagnetic pulse devices. Her target was the alien communication array that had been set up in Central Park. Amy had studied the alien patrol patterns for days. She knew exactly when the guards would be looking in other directions. She knew which shadows would hide her approach. Most importantly, she knew that the aliens were not expecting any serious resistance from primitive humans. The tunnel exit was 50 feet from the alien equipment. Amy checked her watch. Steve Logan's airstrike would begin in exactly 6 minutes. She needed to plant her devices and get clear before the aliens realized they were under attack. Lieutenant Anna Scott was sitting in a mobile cyber warfare unit, parked 3 miles from the alien position in Tokyo. Her team had spent 2 days writing computer viruses specifically designed to confuse alien quantum systems. The viruses were simple by human standards, but they used logical structures that quantum computers were not designed to handle. "Beginning upload in 30 seconds, Anna announced to her team. "Remember, we need to overwhelm their security systems with multiple simultaneous attacks. Hit them from every angle at once." Anna's fingers flew across her keyboard as she prepared to launch the most important cyber attack in human history. If her plan worked, she could blind the alien sensors just long enough for the physical attacks to succeed. If it failed, her team would probably be dead within minutes. On the alien command ship hovering over London, Ambassador Zeth Carr was reviewing resource extraction reports when the first human attack began. His sensors detected unusual electromagnetic activity, but the readings made no sense. "What is this interference?" Zeth Carr demanded from his subordinates. "Unknown, Ambassador. The readings suggest primitive electromagnetic devices, but the power levels are too low to threaten our systems." Zeth Carr was puzzled. Why would humans attack with weapons that could not hurt alien technology? It seemed like a waste of effort, typical of primitive thinking. Then the first electromagnetic pulse device exploded. Sergeant Amy Powell had placed 12 devices around the alien communication array. When they detonated simultaneously, they created a massive electromagnetic field that overloaded the alien quantum processors. For 30 seconds, the most advanced communication system in the galaxy was reduced to static. At the same moment, Captain Steve Logan's squadron released their weapons over the alien fleet in the Atlantic. The electromagnetic pulse missiles were crude compared to alien technology, but they were specifically tuned to the frequencies that Dr. Chris Bell had identified as vulnerable. "Direct hits on targets 1 through 7, Steve reported as his weapons found their marks. "Alien communication arrays are going dark. Around the world, similar attacks were taking place. In Moscow, Major Luke Thompson led a ground assault on an alien resource scanning station. In Beijing, a team of engineers detonated electromagnetic pulse devices near an alien ship. In Sao Paulo, cyber warfare specialists flooded alien computers with simple viruses that caused their systems to crash. For the first time since they arrived on Earth, the Zephyrian Empire was under attack. The aliens' initial response was confusion. Their quantum communication network, which had never failed in centuries of galactic conquest, was experiencing massive disruptions. Ships that should have been in constant contact with each other were suddenly isolated. All units report status. Ambassador Zethkar commanded, but his communications were filled with static and error messages. On the alien ship over Paris, Sub-Commander Kreloth was trying to understand what was happening. His sensors showed human aircraft approaching at impossible speeds, but the readings made no sense according to their database of primitive technology. How are human aircraft achieving these velocities? Kreloth asked his tactical officer. Unknown, Sub-Commander. Our databases indicate that human aircraft are incapable of such performance. What the aliens did not understand was that humans had stripped their aircraft of safety equipment, armor, and life support systems. The planes were flying at speeds that would have been suicidal under normal circumstances, but the pilots were willing to take any risk to strike back at their oppressors. In Tokyo, Lieutenant Anna Scott's cyber attack was succeeding beyond her wildest hopes. The alien quantum computers were trying to defend against sophisticated attacks from other quantum systems. They could not understand how to defend against simple digital viruses that operated on completely different principles. Their security systems are treating our viruses like background noise, Anna reported excitedly. They cannot distinguish between primitive attacks and normal system operations. Anna's team launched wave after wave of simple computer viruses. Each virus was designed to cause a different kind of confusion in the alien systems. Some reversed the polarity of their sensors. Others caused their navigation systems to report false positions. Still others made their weapons target their own ships instead of human targets. The effect was devastating. Across the globe, alien ships began experiencing system failures that their computers could not diagnose or repair. Ships that had never malfunctioned were suddenly blind, deaf, and confused. Captain Steve Logan was preparing for his second attack run when he realized something amazing was happening. The alien ships were not shooting back. Their weapon systems appeared to be offline or malfunctioning. All aircraft, continue the attack, Steve commanded. Whatever we are doing, it is working. Press the advantage while we have it. Steve's squadron made 3 more attack runs, targeting every alien communication array they could find. Each electromagnetic pulse device that exploded created more chaos in the alien network. Ships that had been perfectly coordinated were now operating independently, without any central command. On the ground, Sergeant Amy Powell was making her way through New York's subway tunnels toward her next target. The alien resource extraction equipment in Manhattan was heavily guarded, but the guards seemed confused and disorganized. Their communication equipment was producing nothing but static. Amy planted her devices around the alien equipment and activated the timer. She had learned that the aliens took exactly 47 seconds to respond to threats, but only if their sensors were working properly. With their systems disrupted, they would need much longer to organize a response. The explosion that destroyed the alien resource scanner sent a shockwave through the surrounding buildings, but more importantly, it sent a message to every human watching. The aliens could be hurt. In Washington, D.C., Colonel Ryan Mitchell was coordinating the global attack from his underground command center. Reports were coming in from every continent, and they were almost too good to believe. "Sir, we have confirmed successful strikes in 17 major cities," his communications officer reported. "Alien communication networks are down across the board. Their ships are operating independently and showing signs of system malfunctions." Colonel Mitchell felt a surge of hope that he had not experienced since the aliens arrived. "What about casualties?" "Surprisingly light, sir. The aliens seem unable to coordinate an effective response. Their ships are firing randomly, but they are not hitting strategic targets." The reason for the aliens' poor response was becoming clear. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 worlds using overwhelming technological superiority and perfect coordination. When their coordination was disrupted, they had no backup plans. Individual alien ships were powerful enough to destroy cities, but they did not know how to fight without orders from their command structure. Their commanders were trained to manage resources and oversee conquest, not to fight desperate battles against unexpected resistance. Major Luke Thompson was leading a ground assault in Moscow when he noticed something crucial about alien behavior. When their communication systems failed, the aliens began following pre-programmed protocols instead of adapting to the situation. "They are not thinking for themselves," Luke reported to his team. "They are just following their training. If we can do things that are not in their training manual, they don't know how to respond." The human victory was short-lived. Within 6 hours of the first attack, the Zephyrian Empire began to adapt. Their engineers worked around the clock to repair damaged communication systems and develop countermeasures against human weapons. But something fundamental had changed in the war. Ambassador Zethkar stood in his command center, looking at damage reports from across the globe. For the first time in his military career, a primitive species had successfully attacked Zephyrian forces. The emotion he felt was unfamiliar and uncomfortable. Humans called it anger. "How many communication arrays were destroyed?" Zethkar demanded from his engineering officer. 43 primary arrays and over 100 secondary relay stations," the engineer reported. "The attacks were coordinated and targeted our most vulnerable systems." Zethkar's reflection in the mirror-like walls seemed to ripple with frustration. "Impossible. Our intelligence reports indicated that humans lack the technology to threaten our equipment. The weapons they used were primitive electromagnetic pulse devices, but they were specifically tuned to frequencies that our quantum processors could not filter. It appears they studied our technology and found weaknesses we did not know existed." This was deeply troubling to Zethkar. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered worlds for thousands of years using the same basic strategy: overwhelming technological superiority, perfect coordination, and the fear that came from facing impossible odds. No primitive species had ever found ways to hurt Zephyrian equipment. Dr. Tony Rogers was working in a secret laboratory hidden beneath a hospital in Chicago. His team had managed to capture several pieces of alien technology during the first attacks. Now they were studying the equipment to understand how it worked and how to destroy it more effectively. "Look at this," Dr. Rogers said to his assistant, showing her the internal structure of an alien communication device. "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it is also incredibly specialized. Each component does exactly one thing perfectly, but it cannot adapt to do anything else." Dr. Rogers had made a crucial discovery. Alien technology was designed by beings who had perfect knowledge of how their equipment would be used. Every component was optimized for maximum efficiency in known situations, but this optimization was also a weakness. "Human technology is messy and inefficient," Dr. Rogers explained, "but it is also adaptable. We design things to work in many different situations, even if they do not work perfectly in any one situation. Alien technology works perfectly until something unexpected happens, then it fails completely." This discovery was immediately shared with resistance cells around the world. If alien technology could not adapt to unexpected situations, then humans needed to create as many unexpected situations as possible. Commander Julie Barnes was coordinating resistance operations from a mobile command center that moved constantly to avoid alien detection. She had received Dr. Rogers' report and was already putting it to use. "All teams, listen carefully," Julie broadcast to resistance cells around the world. "The aliens cannot handle chaos and unpredictability. We need to hit them with attacks they have never seen before, using tactics that their computers cannot model." Julie's strategy was simple but effective. Instead of trying to match alien technology, human forces would use their greatest advantage, the ability to improvise and adapt quickly to changing situations. Captain Mark White was leading a resistance cell in Denver when he received Julie's new orders. His team had been preparing for a conventional assault on an alien resource extraction site. Instead, Mark decided to try something completely different. "We are going to attack using garbage trucks," Mark announced to his surprised team. "Garbage trucks?" asked his second-in-command. "Think about it. The aliens are expecting military vehicles or maybe civilian cars. They have probably programmed their defenses to handle tanks, aircraft, and infantry. But how many alien computers are programmed to deal with garbage trucks loaded with explosives?" Mark's theory proved correct. When his team attacked the alien position using city sanitation vehicles, the alien defense systems were completely confused. Their targeting computers could not classify garbage trucks as military threats, so they did not engage their weapons until it was too late. The attack succeeded brilliantly, destroying the alien equipment and forcing them to abandon the resource extraction site. More importantly, it proved that unconventional tactics could work against technologically superior enemies. In Tokyo, Lieutenant Anna Scott was developing new cyber warfare techniques based on the same principle. Her original computer viruses had worked because they were too simple for alien security systems to recognize as threats. Now she was creating even more primitive attacks. We are going to hack their systems using methods that are thousands of years old, Anna explained to her team. Logic bombs, buffer overflows, and simple code injection attacks. Their quantum computers are too sophisticated to defend against such basic techniques. Anna's new viruses were deliberately primitive. They used programming methods that human computers had abandoned decades ago. But those same primitive methods were invisible to alien security systems that had been designed to stop advanced quantum attacks. The results were spectacular. Alien ships around the world began experiencing system failures that their engineers could not understand or repair. Navigation systems would suddenly start reporting that the ships were upside down. Weapons would target empty space instead of human positions. Life support systems would begin playing human music instead of maintaining atmospheric conditions. Dr. Kevin Ross was studying captured alien equipment at a research facility in Australia. His team had made an important discovery about alien psychology and technology design. The aliens think in straight lines, Dr. Ross reported. Their technology is designed to solve problems using the most logical and efficient methods possible. But humans are not logical. We are creative, chaotic, and unpredictable. Dr. Ross had found that alien computers were programmed to look for patterns in enemy behavior. When they found patterns, they could predict and counter human actions. But when humans acted randomly or illogically, the alien computers became confused and stopped working effectively. We need to embrace our chaos, Dr. Ross concluded. The more random and unpredictable we are, the harder it becomes for alien technology to counter us. This insight led to a new phase of human resistance. Instead of carefully planned military operations, resistance cells began conducting random attacks using whatever materials they could find. The lack of pattern made it impossible for alien computers to predict or prevent human actions. In London, a group of street musicians attacked an alien position using instruments modified to produce electromagnetic interference. In Mumbai, a cricket team used their knowledge of the sport to coordinate hit-and-run attacks that followed no military doctrine. In São Paulo, a group of carnival dancers used their costumes to hide weapons and explosives. Each attack was unique and unpredictable. The aliens, who had studied human military tactics extensively, had no defense against attacks that followed no tactical principles at all. General Pete Woods was coordinating the global resistance from a command center that changed location every few hours. Reports were coming in from around the world, and the pattern was clear. Human creativity was proving more effective than alien technology. The aliens are starting to panic, General Woods told his staff. Their reports indicate increasing confusion and system failures across their entire fleet. What the aliens did not understand was that humans had been preparing for this kind of warfare their entire evolutionary history. Humans had survived as a species by being adaptable, creative, and willing to try anything when facing extinction. The Zephyrian Empire, by contrast, had become successful through overwhelming technological superiority and rigid adherence to proven tactics. They had conquered 47 worlds using the same basic strategy. When that strategy stopped working, they had no backup plans. Captain Tracy Hamilton was piloting a captured alien scout ship that had been modified by human engineers. The ship's original programming had been replaced with human control systems that were far less efficient but much more flexible. "This ship is amazing," Tracy reported to her ground control. "But it is designed to do exactly what its programming tells it to do. It cannot improvise or adapt. Human pilots are actually better than alien autopilot systems because we can make decisions that are not in the programming manual." Tracy's modified alien ship was being used to conduct reconnaissance missions that confused alien sensors. The ship's technology signature was Zephyrian, but its flight patterns were completely human. Alien defense systems could not decide whether to treat it as friendly or hostile, so they usually ignored it completely. As the second week of resistance began, Ambassador Zethkar was facing a crisis unlike anything in Zephyrian history. His empire's standard conquest procedures were failing against an enemy that refused to follow any logical patterns. "Sub-Commander, what is the status of our resource extraction operations?" Zethkar asked during his daily briefing. "Operations have been suspended at 63% of sites due to constant human interference. The humans attack using methods that our defensive systems cannot predict or counter." The moment that changed everything happened on a cold morning in Colorado Springs. Colonel Paul Anderson's forces had been fighting the Zephyrian Empire for 3 weeks, and they were running out of options. A massive alien assault force had surrounded the human resistance base, and conventional weapons were having no effect on the alien shields. Corporal Lisa Green was trapped in a collapsed building with 2 other soldiers when she made a discovery that would alter the course of the war. She had been carrying explosives meant for destroying bridges, but the building collapse had damaged her equipment. The mining charges were leaking chemical compounds that mixed with debris from a destroyed alien scout ship. "Corporal, we need to move," called Sergeant Mike Torres from across the rubble. "The aliens are advancing on our position." Lisa looked at the mixture of human explosives and alien technology fragments scattered around her. Something about the combination looked familiar. She had studied chemistry before joining the military, and the alien materials were reacting with her explosives in an unusual way. "Wait," Lisa called back. "I think I found something important." Lisa carefully combined more of the alien fragments with her explosive charges. The mixture began to glow with a strange blue light. When she tested a small sample, the explosion was unlike anything she had ever seen. Instead of the usual blast, the explosion produced a wave of energy that made nearby alien equipment simply stop working. "My radio is picking up alien communications," reported Private Jeff Murphy, who was monitoring enemy frequencies. "They are saying something about shield failures and system malfunctions." Lisa realized what had happened. The combination of human explosives and alien technology had created a chemical reaction that produced exactly the right kind of electromagnetic interference to disrupt Zephyrian shields. It was like finding the key to a lock she did not know existed. "Torres, get on the radio to Colonel Anderson," Lisa commanded. "Tell him we found a way to break through alien shields." Within an hour, Dr. Kevin Ross's team had analyzed Lisa's discovery and begun mass production of the new weapon. The process was simple enough that resistance cells around the world could manufacture the shield busters using materials they could find locally. The implications are staggering, Dr. Ross reported to General Pete Woods. Alien shields operate on a specific frequency that this chemical reaction can disrupt. We can neutralize their primary defensive advantage using common mining explosives and alien scrap metal. The news spread through resistance networks faster than any official communication could travel. Within 24 hours, human forces around the world were equipped with weapons that could penetrate alien defenses. The first major test came during the Battle of Mumbai, where Captain Jack Davis was leading a resistance cell against a heavily fortified alien position. His team approached the alien base using bicycles and motor scooters, carrying shield buster devices in backpacks and shopping bags. "Remember, the aliens think we are just civilians fleeing the area," Jack told his team, as they approached the alien perimeter. "Do not do anything to make them suspicious until we are close enough to deploy the weapons." The plan worked perfectly. Alien sensors detected the approaching humans, but classified them as non-threatening refugees. When Jack's team got within range, they activated their shield busters and watched in amazement as the alien defensive barriers simply vanished. "All teams, shields are down," Jack radioed to the supporting forces. "Move in now." The assault that followed was devastating for the aliens. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Zephyrian forces found themselves fighting without their protective shields. Human weapons that had been useless before were suddenly lethal against alien soldiers. But the shield busters did more than just level the playing field. They fundamentally changed alien psychology about the war. The Zephyrian Empire had never fought an enemy that could neutralize their technological advantages. Their soldiers were trained to fight from behind impenetrable shields, not in open combat against determined enemies. Ambassador Zeth Carr received the first reports of shield failures with disbelief. "Explain to me how primitive humans have neutralized our defensive systems." "The humans have developed a weapon that disrupts our shield generators," his engineering officer reported. "The weapon appears to use a combination of their explosive compounds and fragments from our own technology." "How is that possible? Our shields are designed to deflect any known form of energy weapon. The human weapon does not attack the shields directly. It creates a specific electromagnetic frequency that causes our shield generators to malfunction. The frequency was not in our defensive databases because no species had ever discovered it before." Zeth Carr felt something that Zephyrian military leaders rarely experienced: fear. If humans could neutralize alien shields, they could potentially win the war. For the first time, the ambassador began to consider the possibility that the Zephyrian Empire might actually lose to a primitive species. The psychological impact on alien forces was immediate and dramatic. Zephyrian soldiers who had fought with confidence for weeks suddenly found themselves vulnerable to human attacks. Their training had not prepared them for warfare without technological superiority. Captain Steve Logan was leading airstrikes against alien positions that no longer had shield protection. His squadron could now attack alien ships directly, and the results were spectacular. "Target the main power cores," Steve commanded his pilots. Without shields, their ships are vulnerable to conventional weapons. Steve's attack run destroyed 3 alien ships and damaged 5 others. The sight of burning Zephyrian vessels falling from the sky was broadcast around the world, inspiring resistance movements and terrifying alien forces. More importantly, the destruction of alien ships was creating a cascade effect. Other alien species who had been conquered by the Zephyrian Empire were receiving reports that the supposedly invincible fleet was being destroyed by primitive humans. Dr. Helen Clark was monitoring alien communications from her intelligence station when she intercepted something extraordinary. Ships from other conquered species were approaching Earth's solar system. "General Woods, you need to see this," Dr. Clark called to her commander. "We are detecting alien ships approaching Earth, but they are not Zephyrian vessels." General Woods studied the sensor readings with growing excitement. "Are they reinforcements for the Zephyrians?" "No, sir. These appear to be ships from species that the Zephyrian Empire conquered in the past, and they are not approaching in attack formation. It looks like they are coming to help us." The first non-Zephyrian ship to arrive in Earth's orbit belonged to a species called the Krathari. Their leader, Commander Veltar, sent a message to Earth's governments that was translated into every human language. "People of Earth, we are the Krathari. The Zephyrian Empire conquered our world 8 years ago. We have heard that you are fighting back against the oppressors. We offer our assistance in your struggle for freedom." Within hours, ships from a dozen conquered species were arriving at Earth. The Britanni, who had been enslaved for 15 years. The Quelon, whose homeworld had been stripped of resources 20 years ago. The Mordak, who had been fighting a guerrilla war against Zephyrian occupiers for over a decade. Each species brought their own knowledge of Zephyrian weaknesses and their own reasons for wanting revenge. But they also brought something more valuable: proof that the Zephyrian Empire could be defeated. Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Mitchell was coordinating with the alien allies when he realized the full scope of what was happening. This is not just a fight for Earth anymore. This is a galactic rebellion against the Zephyrian Empire. The Krathari commander, Veltar, explained the situation during a strategy meeting with human leaders. The Zephyrian Empire rules through fear and the belief that resistance is hopeless. When word spread that humans were successfully fighting back, it inspired conquered peoples across the galaxy. "How many worlds are involved in this rebellion?" asked General Woods. "At least 30 so far, with more joining every day. The Zephyrians have created their own downfall by oppressing so many species. They thought their power was absolute, but they were wrong. Captain Tracy Hamilton was assigned to coordinate joint operations between human and alien forces. The differences in technology and tactics created challenges, but they also created opportunities. The Zephyrians are trained to fight one type of enemy at a time," Tracy observed. "They know how to defeat humans, and they know how to defeat other alien species. But they have never faced a combined force of humans and aliens working together." The joint human-alien fleet that assembled in Earth's orbit was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships from dozens of different species, using completely different technologies and fighting styles, all united by their hatred of Zephyrian oppression. Admiral Ron Baker was given command of the combined fleet, despite being from the primitive human species. The alien allies had insisted that humans lead the coalition, since they were the ones who had first proven that the Zephyrian Empire could be defeated. The final battle took place in the void between stars, as Captain Tracy Hamilton led the largest fleet in galactic history toward the Zephyrian home system. Ships from 37 different species flew in formation, their weapons powered and ready. At the center of the fleet, human vessels carried the experimental weapons that had turned the tide of war. Admiral Ron Baker stood on the bridge of the flagship, a massive human battleship that had been built in record time using technology shared by their alien allies. Around him, officers from a dozen different species worked together to coordinate the most complex military operation ever attempted. "Admiral, we are detecting the Zephyrian home fleet," reported Commander Veltar from the Krathari contingent. "They have assembled over 200 ships to defend their capital world." Ron studied the tactical display with calm determination. 6 months ago, he had been preparing to surrender to an enemy that seemed invincible. Now he was commanding a galactic coalition against the same enemy. "All ships, this is Admiral Baker. Remember why we are here. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world that has suffered under Zephyrian oppression. Today, we end an empire that has ruled through fear for too long." The battle began with a coordinated assault that the Zephyrians had no way to counter. Human ships attacked using unpredictable patterns that confused alien computers. Krathari vessels used their knowledge of Zephyrian weaknesses to target critical systems. Brittani forces employed stealth technology that made them invisible to Zephyrian sensors. Captain Steve Logan was flying a fighter modified with alien technology and human weapons. His squadron included pilots from 6 different species, all working together to overwhelm Zephyrian defenses. Logan, to all fighters, target the command ship's communication arrays. If we can blind their fleet coordination, their numerical advantage becomes meaningless. Steve's attack run was supported by Quellon fighters that could phase in and out of normal space, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. The Zephyrian point defense systems could not track targets that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Zephyrian command ship, Ambassador Zethkar, watched his empire's fleet being systematically destroyed by enemies he had once dismissed as worthless. The irony was bitter and complete. "How many ships have we lost?" Zethkar asked his tactical officer. 73 destroyed, 31 disabled. The enemy is using tactics that our computers cannot predict or counter. Their combined technologies are creating weapons and strategies that we have never encountered." Zethkar realized that the Zephyrian Empire had created the conditions for its own defeat. By conquering so many different species, they had inadvertently brought together technologies and fighting styles that complemented each other perfectly when combined. The humans provided unpredictability and adaptability. The Krathari contributed advanced energy weapons. The Brittani offered stealth technology. The Quellon brought dimensional manipulation capabilities. Together they formed a military force that was greater than the sum of its parts. Lieutenant Anna Scott was conducting cyber warfare operations from her station aboard the human flagship. Her team had learned to combine human computer viruses with alien hacking techniques, creating attacks that no Zephyrian computer system could resist. "We have penetrated their command networks," Anna reported to Admiral Baker. "Their ships are receiving contradictory orders and false information. Their fleet coordination is collapsing." Anna's cyber attacks were causing chaos throughout the Zephyrian fleet. Ships were targeting their own allies, weapons were firing at empty space, and navigation systems were reporting false positions. The perfect coordination that had made the Zephyrian Empire invincible was turned against them. Dr. Tony Rogers was monitoring the performance of the experimental weapons he had developed with alien scientists. The results exceeded even his optimistic projections. "Admiral, the chaos generators are working better than expected," Dr. Rogers reported. "Zephyrian ships exposed to the chaos fields are experiencing complete system shutdowns. Their technology literally cannot function in an environment of pure unpredictability." The chaos generators were Dr. Rogers' masterpiece. Weapons that created fields of random electromagnetic interference that changed constantly and unpredictably. Zephyrian technology, which depended on precise quantum calculations, simply could not operate in such chaotic conditions. As Zephyrian ships began surrendering or fleeing the battle, something unprecedented happened throughout the galaxy. Conquered, worlds that had been under Zephyrian control for decades began declaring their independence. The news that the supposedly invincible empire